So welcome to just calling it the difference is the difference. Now, what I mean by that is, as I said, I was judging the Aesthetic Medicine Awards, and it's a great experience. I really enjoy doing these sorts of things. One of the things it does is it gives me the opportunity to look at lots of different business models in a short space of time, but it also gives me a chance to see people's communication, how they're marketing themselves to the world. And through 70 clinics that I got, 70 submissions based all over the country, there were some real similarities that felt some were were very, very positive, but also I think that there's a way of people communicating. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to walk you through the experiences, some of the tips, and then at the end, those of you who've kind of put your URLs into the chat, which is great, thank you very much for that, stepping up, being brave. What I can do is I can walk through your web pages and just kind of match it against some of the experiences that I've had. So let's get started. So essentially what I want to do is just give you a little bit of background on my approach to it, how I kind of looked at those businesses, and what I measured them against was what I called a storytelling matrix. And some of you who've worked with me before would have seen this and been quite familiar with it, the way that I look at marketing and the way I look at how people communicate. So just to recap, for those of you who haven't seen it, there are what we call 5 different stories that you can really tell. So the commodity story, the good story, services, experiences, and transformations. Now, if you look at it in terms of a product, so we simplify it and let's look at coffee, for example. The commodity in coffee is the coffee bean, right? There are lots of them. They have a very little value on their own, hence why they're traded as commodities in the markets. But if you take that coffee pod, you add value to it, you grind it, you refine it, you blend it with other different types of coffee pods, what you end up with is a bag of coffee, right? The good, the product. And if you send that to someone and they pour hot water through it and just to give it to you in a cup, you've essentially got a very basic coffee shop. Now, if you take that analogy and you apply it to this market, which a market you're in, aesthetic beauty, the commodities are essentially the raw materials of the products that you're using. So anything from like hyaluronic acid, et cetera, they're all the commodities. You take that, you refine it, and you stick it into a product. Those are the products that you're using. And then if you provide those products to you and you provide the service, then you are the service provider. Now, what I see really commonly is most of the storytelling that happens in our marketing only features the first 3 stories. Now, the important thing to remember about this is everyone can tell these stories. Everyone can tell them. Your competitors can tell them, because ultimately the messages that you're being given are being given by manufacturers, suppliers. So there's no real differentiation in them. This is all you can tell. And what I find is when people say, oh, my market's really hot, it's congested, it's massively competitive, the reason is because they're sat in this box here. And in the chat, think about what's the biggest pressure that you're going to have if the only stories that you're telling are services. There's only really one thing that you can compete on. So see if you're listening, pop in the chat. If you're only telling service stories or story number 3, what becomes your main point of differentiation? Yeah, you're going to have to engage. Bang, straight on, price. Price becomes the differentiator. And that is where I think a lot of this market is sat. So when I was doing the judging, I was looking, I wanted to see something different. I wanted to see how people were moving through what I call the barrier of apathy, how they were taking time, energy, and money and investing that to enabling them to tell different stories. The stories around experience and transformation. So the story around experience is ultimately how you provide a different experience for your customers. It's essentially your own USPs, your own unique selling points. And then finally, are you telling the stories of your customers? Are you telling the stories about how you have created massive change for them? That's what I was looking for. And even though the standard of submissions was high, what I noticed was there were very, very few stories that I could see that were talking about experiences and transformations. So I'm going to just drop off screen share. So the first tip I'm going to give you, the first thing I just look at is around personal brand. So your personal brand comes first. And this is where bravery steps in, because if we go back and think, right, everybody can tell the story of commodity goods and service, Personal brand is story number 4. It's the experiences, and it's about you. It's about what makes you different, what makes you you, your history, your story. And when I was looking through these submissions, it was really difficult for me to find out actually who was behind the business. There's lots of great stuff on the web pages around, the products and services. But when I wanted to find out who was actually behind the business, what was their story, it was really difficult for me to find that. I have the same experience when people join Aesthetic Entrepreneurs. So I vet people who come in through the Facebook group and ask you to answer a couple of questions, and I have a look at your profile. I go onto your Facebook page. I might do a bit of look at your LinkedIn. I'm actually looking 9 times out of 10. I'm just looking to see that the person who's asking to join has actually relevant background to wanting to join the group. And I'm looking for it. Sometimes it's really hard to find. So if you think about it from a client's perspective, if I'm struggling to dig it out, your prospective clients, their attention span is so fast that if they can't see that information presented to them, they're going to drift. So the first step in kind of business and retention is look at your own personal story and what is it in your own story that you can share. So make sure that you're putting your personal brand first, especially on the front page. And when I look at through your web pages, it's great to see who's doing that. Okay, the second thing I noticed is about benefit selling. Sell the benefits, not the features. So in sales, one of the first things that we get taught is around, it's called FAB, features, advantages, benefits, FAB. Now, in our storytelling matrix, essentially a feature is just, it's something that a product does. So this is where my clinical knowledge just suddenly leaves my brain, right? But let's say, for example, you do a peel, right? So the purpose of a peel, its feature is that it removes the top layer of your skin. That's kind of what it does. So it's got products in there that do that. That's the feature. The advantage to that is that it gives you clearer skin. Now, that's great, okay? But what's the benefit of clearer skin? So I'm going to ask you again, I'm going to challenge you in the comments, in the chat. What are some of the benefits of having clearer skin? Pop them in there. So if you think the feature of the product is that it removes the dead layers of skin from your face, the advantage is that it gives you clearer skin. What's the benefit to a client? Confidence. Perfect, right? That's the benefit. Now, what I noticed is you all jump straight onto that. Gives you confidence, gives them confidence, gives confidence. Now, actually, what I found is looking through the submissions is that the benefits weren't really there. There's a lot of talk around the features, around the advantages, but not about the benefit. And that's really important. So if you're going back through your own marketing, through your own pages, reference your products against the benefit. Have a look at what they do. And I bet most of it, 90% of you, have stopped at advantages. One step forward. And the way to kind of draw that out is just to ask a simple question after everything is which means that. So this product contains X percentage of kojic acid. There you go. I'm quite pleased with myself having remembered that. Right, certain percentage of kojic acid, which is great. What does that mean? So what? Well, it means that it's better at removing certain layers of skin. Oh, great. Which means that gives you clearer skin, which means that enables you to leave the house with glowing skin and feeling confident. That is the bit that people buy. People buy the benefit. They do not buy features and advantages. They don't do it. So sell the benefit, right? Go back through your site, have a look at the benefits and make sure that you're communicating those effectively. Which also leads on to something else. Technical language. Do you know what the average reading age of someone in the UK is right now? No Googling, right? Just straight into the chat. Guess. What do you think the average reading age of someone in the UK is right now? 9. Straight in. That's probably because I told you. It's 9. It's between 9 and 12. 9 and 12 years old. Now, most people in this sector are educated, right? Been to college, university degrees, diplomas. You're used to absorbing technical language. It's part of your job. Now, the problem is that not everybody in the world is used to absorbing technical language. So when you put it into your marketing, it immediately creates a barrier between you and your potential client. They just miss each other. Like I was quite famous for switching off during technical lectures, because listening to lectures about acetylcholine and all of that kind of stuff, I understood it, but what I wanted to know was, how am I going to sell this? The technical information was great, but what I knew is I couldn't commute. I can't. You can't sell on technical information, so I'd have to translate it. And again, that comes into the features, advantages, benefits. So look at the technical language you're using and soften it. Make it more relevant to the target client that you're working on. Use power words. Use things like empowering, and again, confidence is a great word. But there's go to a website, I think it's called 101 power words, or just Google power words, and you can look at the sort of language that you're using on your websites and then just swap those out for some really empowering words, powerful stuff, that will resonate with your customers more than the technical language that I see being used more often than not. By the way, as I go through this, if you've got any questions, please fire this through. This is kind of an interactive session. And it's great that you're all jumping in with the chat. It's fantastic. So you're all awake. If you've got any questions like that you want me to answer, please jump them in and I'll stop as I go through. Okay, so look at the storytelling matrix. Again, if you want me to share that with you, those of you who've been working with me, you'll know the storytelling matrix inside out. If you don't, you should do. And those of you who haven't, ping me and I can get it across to you. So look at the storytelling matrix and map yourself against that. Personal brand first. Sell the benefits. Don't use technical language. And then the next point is, you've got to think about this little acronym, right? And it's called, it's an American sales guy I was talking to a couple of years ago told me this. He says, everyone listens to WIIFM. What's in it for me? There's a truth that you have to accept, and that's that no one really cares about what you're doing. They just care about what it does for them. And that comes back into this whole thing around benefits, non-technical language, personal brand, is what's in it for me. I think we have to, what I did notice in, again, going through all these sites, is we weren't being explicit enough about what actually these things do. It was a little bit, a lot of that was implied that our clients would know. They don't know. If you assume that your clients have no understanding of what these products actually do, what the benefit is it for them, what's in it for them, you've got to tell them. So what does this mean? This means that this is going to, not only going to give you amazing skin, it's going to give you a glowing skin. Do videos. Best way to get that across is video. And a video on the front page of where your treatments are would be really, really powerful. Just explaining and clarifying what you're doing, what's in it for them. So I can't reinforce that enough. And that's one of the big things that I've seen. The gap in the information is translating the technical information into actual messages that resonate with the client base. Okay, hopefully that's been useful so far. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to jump in to show you something, because one of the other things that I noticed that came across quite clearly was inconsistent client journeys. Now, what I mean by that is, well, they were actually consistent because a lot of them were consistently the same. And I think there's opportunities to be innovative in your client journey. So if you think that your client journey is essentially how you make money, right? It's your business model. So it's anything around all that, your sales and marketing, operations and finance. So how do I attract and entice potential clients? How do I deliver the services that I have? And how do I look after the money? How do we generate revenue from all of this? So I'm going to share you this. This is what I map most people's client journeys against, is a model that I built. And unless you're a client, I'm not going to share this with you. But it's a model that I built over the last 20 years that shows how, in my view, the best method for moving people through a client journey. And it all starts off with this lead generation. So when I'm doing any kind of analysis on your business models, one of the first things I do is I look at this, right? Who is your target client? And I ask, who is it you want to target? So we understand that if you're clear on who you want to target, then the rest of it makes sense. A lot of the times, what I was seeing was a lack of clarity in who the target client was. So, being really quite specific, male, female, is it a certain age, or is it an attitude that you want to target? So understanding who our target client is, what their challenges are, what their goals are, what they want to achieve, and communicating directly to them using social media, marketing. This is how they find you. So this client has a problem. They go looking for the answer to this problem out there in the world. YouTube, TikTok, advertising, email, all those different touch points of content that you're creating that they need to be able to absorb. When they've consumed enough of this, it builds trust. And I look at this as this is pre-selling. So if you're not out there in the world with the right messages to the right client, they won't take the right action, which is the right action that we want is for them to become a lead and click and book in with us or make contact with us. So some of that was great. Some of it were not quite so great. But let's say, for example, it works, bang, client makes contact, and then they come into a process. Now, I value a digital process at this point. But what I do think should happen, and what I didn't see a lot of, is there's a split at this point, and it goes into a clinical pathway and a marketing pathway. And the clinical pathway is generally clear. Marketing pathway was always a little bit unclear. And the clinical pathway should really be signposted. And if you haven't done anything like this with your client journey, map it out. I would really advise you to do this. You don't have to use a system like this. This is Funalytics I use to map it out. It's used for designing software, but it's great for laying out a flow. So just lay it out flat so you can see how your clients move through, what the touch points they are at the moment. And in my analysis, in my experience, that if you get a client to come through, consultation fee, whether you want to charge it or not, have a consultation that involves, some sort of skin analysis, it's an engagement, lots of questioning. And then if you can get them to have a course of 3 treatments and then do the consultation again, not a review, an actual consultation, almost bookending this process, because this is the part when you're showing off how great the experience has been. Then they're booking for another series, another consultation, so on and so on and so on. What I was seeing as the client journey in a lot of the submissions for the awards, and especially the ones that are injectable led, is this client journey was quite disjointed. And what I mean by that is there would be a consultation, a treatment, then a review, and then quite a long gap between the review and any communication, sometimes up to 12 weeks. That's way too long. You can't do that anymore. The market's changed. You need to nurture your clients, and the way to nurture them is to throw them into a marketing process that enables you to contact them consistently through this journey. It helps you stay front of mind, and also builds consistency and trust in the journey. And a little tip that you can do is YouTube is great for this, because the videos that you create to communicate to them, you can stick it on YouTube. You can link put a link in your confirmation emails and things like that. Check out our YouTube channel, and it brings them back into your marketing world. So little things like that make a massive, massive difference. And when I can clearly see really easily now, because of the experience I've got of when a client journey hasn't been mapped out, because you can see the obvious gaps in it. So first step is just map it out, lay it out in a bit of paper. How do people do business with you right now? What are the touch points of communication? Where do they pay you? How they do the treatments? How do you do the confirmation? How do you do your communication with them? And I'll bet that you'll find massive, massive gaps. And if you can't find them, give us a shout, because if I map them against this, I'll find the gaps for you. And the truth of the matter is that if you look at this model, there are pay points all the way along the journey. You get paid every single step. With a lot of the journeys that I saw, there's no payment point at the first bit. You get paid a little bit here, a little bit there. It's massively inconsistent. And, everyone wants to get paid, right? So this is what we need to do. Okay. How's that so far? I'll take a pause. There's still a couple of little points I want to go through, but let's take a pause for any questions. Anybody got any thoughts? Has there been any revelations in all of that? Has that been useful for you? Has anybody gone, oh my God, aha moment, there's a big light bulb gone on. I must immediately go and change my business model. Or Is there anything else that you'd like to know? I can answer a couple of questions and then I will jump into doing the next part of it, which is actually going through a couple of those websites. But yeah, it'd be great to get some questions from you. If anybody wants to come off mute and ask a question, that's fine too. But 9 times out of 10, what I find with these things is most people are just happy to stick them in chat. So let's look through. So 1, 2, 3. Awesome. So we've got 3 websites I'm going to go through. Great. Okay, very helpful. Awesome. Thank you for the feedback. Okay, cool. Good. All right. Well, I'll pick the question. If you've got any questions, throw them in. I'll pick them up at the end. Here we go. Great question. How do you start mapping out a patient journey? That's a fantastic question. I will give you the secret tools to mapping out a patient journey, which is one of these and some of that. Bit of paper, right? So I will map it. I will do it this really quickly. I might have to. So what I tend to do, you want to do it really quick and easy way, is take a bit of paper, draw a line on it. This is the quick. I could do this. This is the sort of thing I do in my head. I did this when we were like at Allegan, early days, and I just put a plus point and a minus underneath it, like that. That's all I do. And then what you do is you go through and you think about, right, what's every single interaction that a client has with me. So right from day one, so website landing page, go even earlier than that and look at if you have a link tree or an Instagram page or something like that, what's the first point that a client or potential client can engage with you? So for me, it would be, the Facebook, Instagram, the group, LinkedIn. I could probably map all of those, but generally you think, okay, are they all okay? Yeah, they're pretty good. Could they be better? Yes. So I'll put a little star like that there, and obviously I'll write next to it what it's for. And then for you, it would be, okay, Instagram. Then they go to the website, and you go to your web page. You think, was your website? Is it positive? Is it great? Yeah, okay, it's not too bad. Or in this instance, we're going to say, no, my website's not great. It needs a little bit of work. So we're going to put a cross down there, and you just walk through the whole journey, just being very honest with yourself about whether or not the interaction, that point, is a positive experience or a negative experience, or just neither positive or negative. And what you'll do over time is your map starts to look something like this. And then really simply, you just join the dots. And what that says, that is a massively inconsistent client journey, because you think about the energy and experience that someone's having going through all that, they go from high to low all the time. That's exhausting. What you really want to be having is something that sits just above that line. You don't want it to have too many highs, because when you have a client journey that has too many highs, what you tend to get is buyer's remorse. So when people come out and they're really fired up and they're like, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, brilliant. The only place they can go is crash. And when the crash comes, it's generally buyer's remorse or complaints or something like that. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just their energy levels have plummeted. And they're on the, traveling home thinking, oh my God, I've just spent £1,000. I can't believe I've done that. Oh my God. If they come out level and informed, and the energy is kind of just, what's the word? I can't remember the word for it, but yeah, just general, calm, everything's good. If it's negative, well, you got a problem. So, okay, hopefully that's helped. We got Kay. I found this a huge game changer after you did it with one of our calls. The team have really bought into it now. We now only focus on our ideal clients and take them through the process. And the clients, they feel hold more value as we share this process with them. Brilliant. That's actually, funny enough, one of my points was unclear. You having clarified that client journey. So it's great that you do that. What's the best marketing strategy for a new startup? Wow, that's a big question. Well, to tell you the truth, it's going to sound really flippant. It's the one that you do. The best marketing strategy is the one that you do. I would just read Changing Faces if you're starting out. You can read my book. If you want me to send you a digital copy, happy to do that. Read that. And what I would do is really simply, don't worry too much about spending loads of money on a website. Just create a Facebook page or some sort of social media page. Identify who your target client is, really clearly who you want to target. work out what their problems are, and start communicating to them using live video. That's it. That's where I would start. And in the absence of a better plan, do that. Generally, when I say that to people, they go, live video, are you fucking kidding me? What's the next best way of doing it? I get that, but you asked what the best one is. In my opinion, that's what it is. Cool. Okay, so let's have a look through some of your sites. So really, again, really appreciate you jumping out and doing this. And I'm going to pick Lisbeth Garacino. We're going to take yours first. So, and again, this is just my view, my opinion on all of these, right? You can take it or leave it. Tell Rich, shove it up your ass, you know, whatever, it's fine. But I'm just going to literally give you my first impressions of it. And it's no criticism or anything like that. It's just, this is how I think it looked. Okay, jump straight into it, bang. What I like about this immediately is it's really clean. It's really clear. Simple, home services contact, brilliant, nice and easy. Celebrating beauty one masterpiece at a time, really nice, like that. Easy call to action. So we talk about call to actions, CTAs. It's really clear here what you want me to do. Boom. Okay. Now, one thing I would say, stock images. I'm not a fan of stock images. Again, if you think about what I've sort of said about experiences, I'd love to see a picture of you right there. Look at, you know, that would be such a powerful image, you know, just absorbing me straight into it. I get to see you. Because remember, I may well have seen you through like your marketing up until now, or if you're doing lives or anything like that, and then boom, jump into your page and there's a stock image. And say, you know, it works for some, it works for others. I'm not a massive fan of stock imagery. I think what we've been given through technology is in your hand. You've got what is a decent multimedia studio. You've got a 5K camera. What you need is just a bit of creativity. And if you want to have a photo shoot, have a photo shoot. You know, get one done every quarter as the seasons change and update your images on your page. Love the fact, yeah, straight into Instagram. Let's have a look at the gram. Okay, cool. Might need to drop, if you're going to put a link into it, definitely put some content onto it, even if it's just a welcome video. Because what this, even if you're new, anyway, is that? Are you in the US?
Yes, we're going to be in the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area.
Oh, wow, cool. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining. I was like looking for somewhere like, why are you in London?
The startup phase. Thank you. Your information is very helpful.
Awesome. No, thank you very much for joining. So I was like, yeah, wow, I don't usually get clients from overseas, but fantastic. But yeah, I would definitely do some sort of imagery for there that's limited to the clinic. About you's great. I like the site, it's well designed, and the fact you're hiring as well. That's quite interesting. I actually think that business should always be hiring, and I'll explain why that in a minute, about why I think always should be hiring. But yeah, I would just throw some bit more energy, bit more make it a little bit more dynamic, and a video will help. And when you've got things like our team, I like names. You know, remember, this is a human to human endeavor, what we're doing here. So, you know, rather than our team of talented medical experts, as you recruit, start using more names in there. Services, great. I don't suppose, obviously, because you knew these aren't linked up. It's a little typo on that. It's injectables, but oh, this is great. The other interesting thing is, because you're based in the US, you've got different rules around marketing of prescription medicines. In the UK, we can't put things like Botox on landing pages. In the US, you can. So I would be literally all over that. Use as much as you can. And contact us. Team of health and beauty professionals. It's great. I think, yeah, it looks pretty clean. And I do like this. I like the fact that you've got on page chat. I think this is really powerful. And if you, as anybody knows more and more about AI powered chat is the way forward. Absolutely the way forward. But we can talk about that in another talk. So hopefully that was useful. Great to join you. Thanks for
Thank you. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you. Right, let's go to Tawa. How you doing? Cool. Right, boom. Right, let's share this. So now, immediately you can see there are immediate even similarities. Again, it's a stock imagery that I think I see so often. It's always a stock image on the front page, and again, I get it, but it'd be great to see your faces. Great to see you. You know, bang, straight there. You're a little bit further down. I'd move yourself up a little bit. Brilliant to see that you've got a video on the front page. And you've got your reviews in there as well, which is awesome. So,
hi, I'm Tower. I'm a nurse prescriber and the owner of TB Aesthetics. I wanted to just give you
I'm not sure actually. Let me just check. Can you guys hear the video? Let me do share sound. Let's have a listen.
Brief introduction to myself.
Thumbs up if you can hear the video.
I qualified as a nurse in 1994, last century. And since then, I've worked in a variety of areas such as cardiology, general surgery, and cosmetic surgery. I then moved on to work as an inspector of hospitals, care homes, and doctor surgeries as part of the government's inspectorate, now known as...
Okay, cool. It's great you got a video on there. I would the change I'd make to that video is go back to, remember, everybody listens to WIIFM, what's in it for me. What that is there is a very feature-led video about you, and it's great. Make it a benefit-led video. So you worked in cardiology, cosmetic surgery, and aesthetics, which means that I can do this for you. Boom. That's the bit they're interested in. This is all great. What's in it for me, Tower? What's in it for me? Right? That's what they want to see. Going to hit them to. The reviews are great. I think that's a great thing to do. Have your reviews on your page. Well done. And services, awesome. There's a lot to absorb. There's a lot to absorb. I don't know if there's any way of trimming this down a little bit, but again, I think things like video in all of this instances as well. So making it as easy as possible for people to consume information, as easy as possible for them to take it in. Online booking, brilliant. So it's all there or thereabouts. I think it just needs a little bit of a tweak. But the only thing I will say also is this isn't, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Don't try and do all these sorts of stuff in one hit. It's just update your pages as you go through. But this is really good. It's a really good start. I love the fact that you've listened to the stuff that we talked about in Growth Factor, and you've implemented a lot of it, which is absolutely amazing. I'm really pleased to see that. But yeah, I would just update that video on the homepage a little bit, just to kind of make it more benefit-led, and I would look at a bit of a more dynamic, personable image for the landing page. That's what I would see. Sweet. Okay, cool. Moving on. Next one. So this is the last one I will show you, because it's the last one that's been sent. And this is a good one to show. So let me just bring this one up. So this is Rachel. Share. So Rachel Skin Lounge. Immediately look at the language. Changing your life through non-invasive, world-leading technology. It's a really powerful statement. Really powerful statement. And if you think about it, the way I look at this is, even though that is pretty much a kind of, for treatment, immediately you sort of start thinking, well, are these people having their lives changed? Wow, actually, I'm thinking about the benefit immediately through that change in language. Transforming the way that you feel about your skin. So power words are in there: quality, passion, expertise, where science meets beauty. There are all these different little snaps of language that are quite easy for people to hold on to. Remember, simplification of language. People remember the certain things. If you listen to when politicians deliver messages, strong and stable, getting it done. They're really simple. Stay at home. So they're simple, easy to repeat messages, making America great again. So the more of those that you can pull in like that, the more power it has. So I love things like that, where you're seeing all of that, where science meets beauty. And And right, straight through, got all of the treatments. Awesome. When it comes to your skiing experience is key. And then boom, story, our story, reviews, and our team. I think about moving this up a little bit, actually. I kind of want story a little bit higher. I'd move it up a bit above the about us bit, just so that's there. We click on that. What have we got? Takes us into, here we go, picture of Rachel. Here's your story. Again, maybe jump a video in there. Might be a nice little thing. So each one of your team members has a video just introducing themselves. Remember, the videos that you create, they can also go onto YouTube. So when people land on your YouTube channel, there's a whole little playlist you could have is about the team, and each one of those videos is in there. Remember, people like to binge content. I love to binge content. I've been learning everything there is to know about Chevy G20 transmissions at the moment, and it's like just get my head into all of that. When I went to New York, I jumped onto YouTube and basically binged an entire channel on reviews for places to go. So the more content that you've got out there, the more there is for people to watch, obviously, the more you build trust, obviously, and the more money you make. Simple as that. Trust equals money. People buy at trust. They don't buy before then. So that's great. Request a callback. Great, nice and easy. Are there any links to your socials? Again, another way of probably looking at these, I should be doing it on my mobile, because most people actually do view these on mobiles. I'll probably social tab just up a bit further up, because so knowing you, a lot of your Instagram content is really quite powerful. So all of this sort of stuff I think could actually be up there, and you might even want to look at putting a bit on the website that actually shows some of your Instagram content on that homepage, make it really quite dynamic. But yeah, I think it's definitely coming along, and it's changed a lot since our last conversation. So a bit of spoiler alert is Rachel's working with me, so you probably see some of that in the messaging, and I'd love to see more of you if you've got another cut of this video from a wider field of view that shows more of who's doing the treatment. That would be cool. I think you could edit that into this as well. So you could go to the extreme close-ups, but then as you come out, see a bit more of the faces. If you've got that would be great to do a re-edit. There we go. So hopefully you could kind of see what I'm being talking. This is what I've been not struggling with, but this is where we are at in AE, and it's kind of what we do is helping you to differentiate yourself in the market. I know that simple fact of the matter is there are 4 different stages that you need to look at. One is entrepreneurial thinking, bravery, and I'm seeing great bravery actually in a lot of these. People who I've spoken to and I know who aren't comfortable with doing video, putting themselves out there. That's fantastic, because you're moving into that experiences box of communication, which is really, really important to be in. Experiences and transformations. If you can live in there, you'll make more money. If you live in boxes 1, 2, and 3, you're just the same as everybody else. 4 and 5, that's what creates the difference. So try and live in those boxes as much as you can. I'm not saying that you ignore product, services, and commodities. What I'm saying is you don't exclusively talk about those, and that's what a lot of people do. So we've got that aspect of it. Then it's about differentiation, how you stand out, and that's personal brand. You first. Who are you? What's your personal USPs, and how do you communicate those to clients and potential clients? And then it's about diversifying your business model. So looking at that client journey and breaking it down into steps and making sure, how do I acquire? How do I get clients? How do I convert them? How do I treat them? And how do I retain them? When you start looking at that in its individual spaces, you'll find that you actually open your business model up and it becomes a little bit more diverse. When it becomes more diverse, you can put things together, you solve more problems, you make more money. And then the final part of it is about above average pricing. And the pricing model in the UK is challenged. There's a lot of competition out there. And if you're only operating in the first 3 boxes, you will never get to increase your pricing because your differentiation isn't there. You need to start thinking differently. And it's more about, the analogy I use in this one is be a fruit salad. Don't be an apple, right? An apple has a value. You go to the shop and right, go and grab an apple and grab a fruit salad. How much does an apple cost? Just someone, roughly. I don't know. When was the last time you bought an apple, right? You should buy them in sixes or whatever. But 6 apples, £1. How much is a fruit salad? Those little pots with a pineapple in it and some grapes and a tiny little bit of apple and all that in there. What was it? 10? I don't know, how much they cost? Double, 3 times the price? The reason is because you can't quantify it. It's not become apples for apples anymore. You're comparing it against different things. So you're comparing a commodity, which is an apple, versus an experience, which is having a fruit salad. I kind of know where I'm going with that. I'm sticking with that one. I thought that would work. Okay. So the final thing is making that client journey as clear as possible and just being clear on your own USP, that personal brand, your own that thing about you that makes you stand out above everybody else. What is it? It's probably something in your background. It might be a combination of things. If I look at the USPs for me, us, whatever it is, it's in my background, 20 years in this market, I've pretty much sold every type of product and service there is in this market, from injectable skincare, capital equipment, PRP, you name it, I've kind of sold it. What sort of businesses have I worked with? Small independent startups, right the way through to multinational companies all over the world, from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, US. So my USP, part of it is my experience level. Also, what's my USP is I was in sales. I'm a field sales guy for 8 years. So I work directly with the clinics and I really understand the problems that you have. Other USP, I did a creative technologies degree. So I understand sales and marketing. I understand how the processes work. I understand technology. You start putting these things together, and other USP is I'm an entrepreneur. I run lots of different businesses. I make mistakes. USP, I've nearly been bankrupt twice. You add all these things up, what you're adding up is a history base. And that history base is yours and yours alone, because you've owned the experiences. You own that. No one else can have that. And that's it. You position those things. So when I talk about your own USP, bring your failures into that as well, because that's where we learn. So and make it as relevant as possible to your target client. And that's one of the things, is being specific about who your target client is. So don't be afraid to talk about the things that you've learned. That was, and again, a sort of an aside, maybe a little bit rambling, but that was one of the other things I noticed in the submissions is everybody was great. And you think about that from an awards point of view, and I think, okay, well, why would you want to put your failures in there? Well, it adds humanity. For me, it adds humility. Humility is a quality I prize greatly, actually. Shows that you're willing to adapt, willing to learn and persevere, and no one gets it right all the time. So, from that point of view, thinking about that as well, how does that empower your clients? Makes you feel human, makes you seem human. Vulnerability is powerful and enables you to connect. Sorry, I got a bit ranty there anyway. Okay, and the very last thing is data. Data. People aren't tracking they're not tracking data properly. In order to really understand whether or not your marketing platform, whether all of this is working properly, there are only 4 data points you need to track. And in my experience, it seems either very difficult to track these, or people aren't really putting enough emphasis on the importance of tracking them. And the first one is leads. How many leads are you getting? How many inquiries are you getting? Actually, I'm going to jump back to our model for this, so you can see where it fits into all of this. So hopefully you can see that. Can you see? No, hang on. I think. Let's try again. Here we go. Here we go. Right. So as you track this, right, there are data points all the way along this that we need to know where they are, what they are. So 1, leads. How many people are getting to this point? From this point, all which we're getting is lots and lots of noise. We'll be getting, reach, impressions, likes, comments, all that kind of stuff, right? How many people actually turn into a lead? You need to count that, track it, because then that tells you how effective this is being. When you talk about cost per lead, if you're paying for any of this stuff, then this is the first point you need to track, and it's called cost per lead. If you're not paying for any of that, that's cool, but we need to know what the leads are. Then the next one is we need to know how many consultations are we doing or appointments, because then we've got between here and here is a conversion point. How many of our leads are converting to consultations? That tells us how effective our booking process is being, our onboarding process. Then the next point is procedures, right? Treatments. How many treatments are we doing? Because then that tells us our next conversion point, which is how effective are we converting from our consultation into a treatment? And then the final number, sales. What's the average spend per client? Because then that tells us whether or not we're actually charging the right amount of money. So we want to know from how is this bit working? The way we know that is how many leads are we getting. We want to know how this bit is working. The way we know that is how many consultations or appointments we've got. We want to know whether this bit is working. We know that by the number of procedures or treatments that we do. And we want to know how this is working, and we do that through sales. The acronym LAPS, leads, appointments, procedures, sales. Only 4 data points that we need to record. They're really important. So if you're using some sort of CRM system or software system, you should be able to pull it out. From leads, if you're just recording it on, honestly, spreadsheet, bit of paper, something at the moment, there's a mechanism I've got that I can help you to do that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, recording the number of leads, number of appointments, procedures, and sales. When we've got that data, then you can really start to track the effectiveness of your business model and how you're making money, right? At the end of the day, we're in business. So that gives you the difference. The difference is in the difference. You apply even just some of what I talked about today, and you map that out into a little bit of a journey and go, right, that's what I'm going to do between now and the end of the year. And it will have a massive impact, because this is how the game is played. Has that been helpful?
Yes,
Good.
very much. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Absolutely.
Cool. You all getting all brave, coming off mute. Has anybody got any questions they want to ask me for the last, 7 or so minutes? If you don't have any questions and you haven't worked with me in the past and you're interested in it, I'm going to put a link into the chat. So there are a couple of ways of engaging. So one is there's a scorecard that you can do, which will give you basically it maps you against the different categories that I sort of spoke about: the entrepreneurial thinking, differentiation, diversified business model, and pricing. Really simple scorecard. Back that through. I'll get hold of your info and then we can have a chat. Or if you're feeling up for it, just jump straight into the growth program. Have a look at the growth program. Book a call with me, and I'll walk you through it. And if it's appropriate and right, we can kick off. If not, no problems at all. No harm, no foul. So yeah, I'd say I've got time for one question. If anyone's got anything to throw at me while someone's formulating a question, I'll just read back through some of the comments. Since I got you, Rick, all my referrals come from Google, very local, now #1 via Google. That's great to hear. Well done. Awesome. Cool. Any other comments? Helpful? Good. Okay, cool. Right. Okay, cool. Well, listen, if there are no other questions, I'll let you guys go. This vid will be available on YouTube for a short period of time, and then it goes on to our Matrix system. So it'll be in there as under the Zoom Storm tab. If you want to get hold of me, you know where I am. Jump into the AE group, ping me a message. Love to help you out if you're stuck. If any of this has resonated and you want to understand a little bit more about it, feel free to get in contact with me. Otherwise, guys, have a fantastic bank holiday weekend for those of you in the UK. And I look forward to all catching up with you again soon. I'll be live again next Thursday with a different webinar topic. So hopefully I'll see you all soon. Have a great weekend.
Bye, Richard.
Thank you.
Bye.